Good morning, students. Today we are going to study to discuss metaphysical movement in history of English literature. The metaphysical school of poetry represents a revolt against the emotional poetry of the Elizabethans. Samuel Johnson is considered to be the first important critic who, in his essay on Cowley, in Lives of the Poets, classified these poets. The metaphysical poets were men of learning, and to show their learning was their whole effort, was their whole endeavor. The disparaging tone of this sentence reminds us of an earlier comment by John Dryden. In his discourse concerning satire, Dryden has said that Donne affects the metaphysics not only in his satires but in his amorous verses also. The important metaphysical poets include John Donne, George Herbert, Richard Crashaw, Andrew Marvell, Henry Vaughan, and Abraham Cowley. The metaphysical poets combined wit and extreme compression of ideas in highly colloquial language. The use of conceit, extended metaphor, and extreme analogy, in which dissimilar objects, ideas, or concepts are used to describe feelings and thoughts, was the characteristic quality of the metaphysical poetry. Their tendency to yoke mutually different images forcibly together, according to T.S. Eliot, owed to their unified sensibility. Important characteristic features of metaphysical poetry include: number one, the metaphysical poets, according to Dr. Johnson, desired to say what they hoped had been never said before. They endeavored to be singular in their thoughts and were careless of their diction. In fact, they experimented with novel thought and expression. Number two, metaphysical poetry is full of artificiality of thought and hyperbolical expression. Number three, one finds in metaphysical poetry dissimilar images or discovery of occult resemblances in things apparently unlike. Number four, the use of conceit is the characteristic quality of metaphysical poetry. Means an extended metaphor or extreme analogy in which dissimilar objects, ideas, or concepts are used to describe feelings and thoughts. This is conceit, and it was used in metaphysical poetry. Number 5. A metaphysical poem can be recognized by its striking opening, with its colloquial rhythms, situations, and immediacy. And the last one is, in the words of Herbert Reed, metaphysical poetry is determined logically. Its emotion is a joy that comes with the triumph of the reason and is not a simple instinctive ecstasy. Some of the metaphysical poets, particularly Donne and Marvell, have employed ideas drawn from Renaissance Neoplatonism to highlight the relationship of soul to body. They have also expressed a realistic view of psychological tensions inherent in sexual love. The range of metaphysical poetry is quite extensive. From Marvell's to his coy mistress, a poem about the transitory nature of human life and the desirability of sexual consummation, to Herbert's Easter Wings, a poem which reflects the yearning for the resurrection of the poet's spirit. The metaphysical poetry was not taken seriously in the 18th and 19th century. The Romantics saw little to admire in metaphysical poetry. However, in the late 19th century, critics like Edmund Gosse and Arthur Symons pointed out the merits of metaphysical poetry. Grierson's introduction to metaphysical lyrics and poems of the 17th century stimulated further interest in metaphysical poets. Grierson points out that metaphysical poetry indicates the peculiar blend of passion and thought, feeling and rationalism, which is their greatest achievement. T.S. Eliot's essays, The Metaphysical Poets, and Andrew Marvell's pointed out the value of metaphysical style. Eliot observed that their structural complexity and dramatic intensity had a special appeal for the modern mind. Many American new critics also praised the metaphysical style. Their emphasis on irony, paradox, and unified sensibility shows that the metaphysical poets continue to occupy a dignified position in the history of English poetry. That's all about metaphysical movement. Thank you very much.